I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. In Senate floor remarks on Monday, Senator Chuck Grassley continued his attacks on the FBI and the Justice Department. The Iowa Republican has claimed that the DOJ and FBI have not behaved in a politically neutral manner. Citing alleged whistleblowers, he has repeatedly called out what he sees as failures in investigating Hunter Biden and called the investigations into former President Trump problematic and politically infused. Hunter Biden's business deals and the potential knowledge or involvement of his father have become a major talking point for Republicans heading into the midterms. And should they win back Congress, it is likely there will be congressional investigations into the Biden family.
We all know that Congress has a constitutional responsibility to ensure that the executive branch executes the laws and uses taxpayers' money appropriate in accordance with congressional intent. Doesn't matter whether we have a Republican president, a Democrat president, a Republican Senate, or a Democrat Senate, we all have the constitutional responsibility of checking the executive branch. In further of that constitutional responsibility, Congress has an obligation to investigate the executive branch for fraud, for waste, for abuse, and even gross mismanagement. And if Congress finds potential wrongdoing, we have an obligation to the American people to make sure that it's public, because transparency of the public's business brings accountability to those who conduct that public business. Last week, I made public 2 oversight letters that I've sent to the Justice Department and to the FBI. These 2 letters are part of my investigation into a political bias that's infecting the Department of Justice and the FBI. These letters are based on information provided to my office by whistleblowers. And I hope everybody knows that I consider whistleblowers as patriots. And whistleblowers have to have guts, and they do have guts. And Director Wray has personally told me that these whistleblowers won't be subject to retaliation, as often whistleblowers in the federal government are subject to retaliation, hurting themselves professionally and maybe even losing their jobs. Now, these letters that I sent follow up on a May 31st, 2022 letter to the Justice Department, the FBI, and the Inspector General. In those letters, I provided evidence of extreme left-wing bias shown by a special agent in charge by the name of Tim Tebow. He is special agent in charge of the FBI's Washington field office. Now, he has since been referred to the Office of Special Counsel for potential Hatch Act violations. Tebow is at the center of my 2 letters sent last week. The first letter relates to an FBI investigation that Tebow opened on the Trump campaign and its advisors. He allegedly had help from Richard Pilger, an official in the Justice Department's election crime branch within the public integrity section. During Chairman Turbin's investigation into the Justice Department misconduct, Pilger really stood out. The committee interviewed Richard Donahue, the former Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General during the Trump administration. He was also a key January 6th committee witness. Donahue testified to the Judiciary Committee that Pilger's conduct frustrated the department's ability to properly operate the elections crimes branch. Thibault and Pilger played a major role in opening the criminal investigation into the Trump campaign. And this isn't a preliminary investigation. It's a full investigation which requires heightened standards to go forward with that investigation. According to the whistleblowers that contacted my office, the opening memo for that investigation is based in substantial part on liberal news reporting. Liberal news reports are not enough for a full investigation. The Washington Post reported on the investigation last Tuesday. However, the Post did not report that Thibault and Pilger were involved in opening that case against Trump and his advisors. Yet, Attorney General Garland and Director Wray allegedly approved opening those investigations. Now, as I have said in my letter to those two people, if you're going to open an investigation, you have to do it in the right way. So let's contrast this investigation with what the FBI has done with information received from sources relating to Hunter Biden. Whistleblowers have told my office that the FBI maintains many sources that have provided extensive information on Hunter Biden. That information allegedly involves potential criminal activity such as money laundering. That's the same criminal concern that Senator Johnson and I raised in our 2020 Biden report. To clarify, that was way back in 2020. According to the whistleblower's allegations, the underlying information was verified and was verifiable. Now here is where it is appropriate to raise questions about politics and political interference in investigations. However, instead of green-lighting the investigative activity, the FBI shut down the Hunter investigation. So now how did they do that? According to allegations in August 2020, FBI Supervisory Intelligence Analyst Brian Houghton opened an assessment. That assessment was used by the FBI officials to improperly discredit Hunter Biden's information as, you know what, disinformation. Those officials allegedly included Thibault. Then in October 2020, an avenue of additional Hunter reporting was ordered closed at the direction of Special Agent Thibault. It's been alleged that Thibault and others suggested to FBI agents that the information was at risk of being, you know what, disinformation. However, according to allegations, the source reporting was either verified or verifiable via criminal search warrants. Thibault allegedly ordered the matter closed without providing a valid reason as required by FBI guidelines. As required by FBI guidelines, In other words, Tebow shut down an allegedly legitimate avenue of information. So in order to shut down Hunter Biden's sources and investigative leads, the FBI engaged in disinformation campaign against itself and its own agents. If these allegations are true and accurate, the Justice Department and the FBI are and have been substantially corrupted. Before I conclude, I want to note 4 things regarding the summer of 2020. Yes, the summer of 2020. The opening of Oten's assessment in August 2020. Secondly, efforts by the FBI officials to shut down Hunter Biden's investigative activity. Third, efforts by the FBI to provide really unnecessary briefing to me and Senator Johnson in August of 2020. That briefing was purportedly about our Biden investigation, but it had nothing to do with the Biden investigation. Leaks, fourthly and lastly, leaks relating to the briefing and the liberal media and Democrats falsely accusing me and Senator Johnson of advancing Russian information. All those 4 data points happened as Senator Johnson and I prepared to finalize our September 2020 Biden report. These data points show a plan was in place at the FBI to undermine anything related to Hunter Biden. Attorney General Garland and Director Wray, you both have an obligation to the country to immediately investigate these allegations and to clean house. And my oversight work on this and related matters will certainly continue. On another point, and a much shorter point, just in case some of my colleagues are wondering how long I'm going to have the floor, today I come to speak on the importance of inspector generals, IGs as they're called in this town. IGs play an important role watchdogging executive branch agencies. They help make sure that government bureaucrats are held accountable when they engage in waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayers' money. IGs are force multipliers for Congress in overseeing our responsibility of checks and balances of the executive branch of government. They're charged with keeping Congress informed of wrongdoing and to provide objective, nonpartisan recommendations on even the most politically sensitive issues. As of today, there are currently 13 IG vacancies throughout the federal government. Some have nominees, some don't have nominees, and some haven't had Senate confirmation IGs in years. Now, to hone in on one vacancy that I've paid special attention to over the years is that of the Department of Defense Inspector General. Believe it or not, that office has not had a Senate-confirmed IG in more than 6 years. The Department of Defense has an annual budget of well over $700 billion, and as today, it looks like they'll have a much more money the next fiscal year. Now, I've spent many years calling out waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayers' money at the Department of Defense, and I know full well that the importance of having a Senate-confirmed IG in place at that very important department. Having an independent and effective watchdog at this point is critical to keep the Congress informed of all the tomfoolery that happens at the Pentagon. whether that be paying exorbitant amounts of money for a hammer, constructing buildings in foreign countries that remain vacant to this day, or failing to hold contractors accountable. It all happens time and time again. We in Congress need a watchdog with teeth, not afraid to fight off the corporate fat cats who seek to enrich themselves off the backs of the American taxpayer. Some of these contractors have made careers from ripping off the taxpayers through wasteful spending at the Department of Defense. A few $1,000s here, a couple million there, it turns out to be waste many times. We need a watchdog, an inspector general at this post, and we need it now. I believe my colleagues here in the Senate share my beliefs in the importance of having Senate-confirmed IGs in these vital roles. The President must act to nominate, and the Senate should confirm qualified and effective watchdogs to the vacancies like this, particularly the one at the Department of Defense. I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.